Former President Donald Trump is not thrilled about the possibility of facing Florida Governor Ron DeSantis in a primary race. Donald Trump's already announced that he's running for 2024. Ron DeSantis has not. And Trump, of course, had a warning on Saturday. He told reporters this.
So Ron would have not been governor if it wasn't for me, and that's okay. Number one, he wouldn't have gotten the nomination. And number two, he wouldn't have beaten his Democrat opponent. So then when I hear he might run, I consider that very disloyal, but it's not about loyalty. But to me it is. It's always about loyalty. But for a lot of people, it's not about loyalty.
It's not about loyalty, even though it's absolutely all about loyalty. I mean, I don't think it's about that, but I do. What are you trying to say? I'm getting some mixed messages here. Okay, I'm just saying.
I'm cognitively there.
Are you really? Are you sure? Are you sure? Okay. That's it.
I know words. I have the best words.
Look, Donald Trump says, claims that he got Ron DeSantis selected. There's a little bit of truth in that, actually. I mean, the first race, yeah, Trump had an impact in that. That said, I mean, look, DeSantis had a run for his money in that first election. Only won by a couple points. That was a very, 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 very close election. But in 2022, it was a blowout. Now, the difference is the Democrat that was running before in the first race was claiming to be more of a progressive, whereas in the last race in November, it was Charlie Crist. So it was a former Republican. So I think candidate quality does matter. Look, I talk about candidate quality in the right all the time. There's also candidate quality for Democrats as well. And Charlie Crist, low quality. Very, very low quality. Okay. That said, would have been better to DeSantis? A little bit. Barely. But a little bit. I mean, we're talking minute. Okay. That said, right? One of the reasons that Ron DeSantis won so handily as well, and not just candidate quality, but it's what he did when he was in office for his first term. He won by just about 20% because of all the stuff that he did that the base really, really liked. Banning critical race theory from school, even though it was never taught in K through 12 education as a collegiate level legal course. Doesn't matter. Republicans have taken critical race theory and applied it to any discussion involving black people, basically. So there's that. And of course, the Don't Say Gay bill going after LGBTQ folks, removing books from schools. But, one of the major claims to fame from Ron DeSantis, though, is what he did during COVID. Now, that's a point of contention, actually, between Trump and DeSantis, interestingly enough. Trump apparently took issue with DeSantis' COVID-19 approach, accusing the governor's team of, quote, trying to rewrite history. So let me just hold on there for a second, okay? Trump accusing DeSantis of rewriting history. I mean, what Donald Trump rewrites history all the time, literally. So, okay, sure. Now, here's what he said, quote, there are Republican governors that did not close their states. Florida was closed for a long period of time. No, that's not necessarily true. I know, shocker, right? That it was a lie. Florida was one of the last states to lock down. That was in April of 2020. By September, all the bars, the restaurants, they're all fully reopened. Mask mandates gone. Social distancing gone. All that stuff. And before that, he ordered the schools to reopen for in-person learning. That was in August of 2020. That was even as COVID-19 cases were skyrocketing. So now the result of that is right-wingers love it. Oh, freedom. Yeah, I want to go to Applebee's even if I have COVID. Yeah. Server, why are you wearing a mask? I'm going to give you less of a tip. Because you wore a mask. Oh, I'm gonna give this person COVID. This way, well, too bad for you. Should have got a better job. You should have actually got some health care. It's ridiculous. But they loved it. They loved it. Their freedom was to go to Applebee's. Ponderosa. But look, that said, Ron DeSantis continuing with that because he knows it's a winner in Florida and has rolled out the anti-vax talking points, of course. Now, Trump, however, I've showed you video before of Donald Trump defending the vaccine, which is weird. But yeah, gave him credit there. But of course, the only reason he defends the vaccine is because it was done during his administration and he got a lot of praise for it from mainstream media. Remember, something that Donald Trump loves is when mainstream media gives him kudos, gives him accolades. He loves it. He can't help it. He's like, oh, yes, lavish the praise upon me. I must have more. It empowers me. Okay, but it was one thing that a lot of his hardcore fans did not like. They booed him. And so, look, I've told you before, Donald Trump likes to A/B test messages. But on the vaccine issue, he's kind of done that. He's waffled a little bit between the vaccines are great, but it's still your choice if you want to get them. That said, that's where the difference is. Ron DeSantis has gotten pretty much fully anti-vax, along with the other policies. So now look, the right wing, that's why they love DeSantis. They love him because he's every bit as cruel, if not more so, than Donald Trump when it comes to policy. But another key difference here, DeSantis is not as unpredictable. And you don't see him on social media doing weird tirades at 3 a.m. in the morning against an investigation. So he kind of flies under that radar. And therefore, you don't see as much negative press about him, even though, of course, it certainly exists. I talk about him. There's, been the things that he's been doing lately, like firing that attorney for dubious reasons, actually breaking the First Amendment doing so. Yeah. And then, of course, there was the arrests of people for voter fraud. And then, of course, their cases were dropped. And there was shipping people from Florida, or actually going to Texas, picking up migrants using state funding. That's Florida state funding, and then flying them, shipping them to Democrat states, to blue states. So there's all that. And so, look, policy-wise, again, Ron DeSantis, incredibly cruel. Not necessarily effective, but I think more effective than Donald Trump had been in his cruelty, if that makes any sense. Add into the fact that Donald Trump is also being considered, definitely being seen, especially by Fox News and other Murdoch-owned media, as a two-time loser. Once in the election and once during the midterms. And by the way, Donald Trump continued to cry about it endlessly, and I think people were getting pretty sick of it. So, all of that is going to help Ron DeSantis if he decides to run. And as I said before, he kind of has to. He's in that position, being elevated by a lot of right-wingers, including, as I said, the Murdoch press, as like, you got to run, this is your chance. And if he doesn't take that chance, I don't think he'll ever get another one. And that irritates Trump to no end. Again, because a lot of the Republican establishment that had backed him before had turned their back on him. So that's irritating. And then seeing Ron DeSantis as someone that, rightly or wrongly, and you could say, he did help Ron DeSantis' rise a little bit, seeing him as being a betrayer to Trump. That, again, that gets under his skin like you wouldn't believe. And so at the end of the day, it is about the loyalty. It is about, of course, the entitlement that he feels towards the Republican Party to back him fully, and the whole audacity of him being challenged. So basically, this is just the start of the feud. It's going to continue to get uglier and uglier as time goes on, especially if and when Ron DeSantis does announce. That's when the real gloves will come off.